Last year, I took 5 AP exams, and I did get a 5 on all of them, but I did it while being completely burnt out. So I spent the last couple of months mastering memory habits that actually stick. This is my realistic academic It Girl blueprint for straight A's, and hopefully good scores on our AP exams this year. Final season is upon us. That means I really gotta lock in today. The first few tips I have are more basic, everyday habits, so nothing crazy, but they pertain more to at school and after school, not necessarily before a test. Number 1 is never type your notes or do any type of typing when you're studying, unless it's English or something where I'm writing an essay. Handwriting is so much better for your memory. There's psychology studies that show that writing something down allows for deeper processing in your hippocampus. So for memorization heavy classes, you don't have to study as much later. I want to start with doing some prep for my AP Lit final. I have to make a document that summarizes some of the books we've read this year. I hope this goes by quick. One question that a lot of people ask is, how do you know what you need to study when it comes to a test? And I think this definitely depends on the class. Like, for example, some classes give key terms lists, and you just need to know that. Some are worksheet heavy, like my AP Gov class, and all I need to know is just looking at the class worksheets. But I will say that textbooks should never be your main study material, because often that's a baseline with extraneous info that the teacher later expands on in class. Focus on studying what the teacher emphasizes in each lesson. And in order to do that, you need to pay attention in class. I need to tell this to myself, honestly. If you're watching this video, you're a good student, you care about school, so you probably know this already, but one of the most crucial habits is consistency and discipline. And I know no one wants to hear this, right? But this means doing your readings every day instead of cramming them all in last minute, because that's not good for your memory. If you leave class not knowing what's going on, make sure you understand the concept before next class, whether that means doing extra problems by yourself, consulting a peer tutor or your teacher. You can't study to do well on a test if you haven't learned the material well. Lunchtime. I got a salmon poke bowl. The next section of tips that I have pertains to cramming and study methods. This will be more specific to like right before you're preparing for finals or a test. I've tested out many study methods, including flashcards, explaining concepts to another person, reading through the textbook again, and the one that I found to be most efficient and effective, saved the most time, is making study guides. Not just using study guides, but actually creating and handwriting them. Before each test, you should basically write out a sheet of paper that includes everything that I think I would need to know for the test. If I were to bring that piece of paper to the exam day, it would have all the answers on it. And that's essentially all I do, and then I maybe review that once or twice before. Just the process of rewriting my notes into a more condensed form, that is what really makes it stick in my brain. I'll show you a couple examples here on screen. I like to do them on my iPad. You know what's also great about this is that when it's time for finals, I can come back to each study guide I made for every unit, and that's a great resource for when I'm reviewing. Also, when it comes to memorizing terms or procedures, make sure you note down how they relate to other terms or other steps in the procedure, or like real-world examples of something. For instance, in psych we have a lot of terms. I might want to write down how object permanence is related to stranger anxiety, because there's a clear connection there. Or I might say a real-world example of accommodation is when a baby sees a dog for the first time and is like, oh, that's not a human, that's different. Yo, that's crazy. When you're making your study guide, you can use arrows to bounce between these ideas, or you can make like a table, a chart, whatever works for you. I usually just write arrows everywhere, connecting them, and it looks kind of crazy, but if it works, it works. I'm low-key struggling to focus. I keep going on my phone. I need to log in, guys, but it's Saturday and I don't want to. Speaking of not being locked in, my next two tips are for focusing, because I feel like that's low-key the most important part of studying. So number one, if you're struggling to focus, make sure that studying or something productive is the first thing you do in a day, especially on a weekend when we're more prone to like go on TikTok first thing in the morning. And that's why I can't focus right now. I was scrolling too much in the morning. So ensure that you don't doom scroll, watch TV, or eat a ton of sugar. Starting your day off with a bunch of dopamine will make your brain want to continue seeking that dopamine for the rest of the day. So you're unwilling to do the hard stuff, like using your brain cells. I mean, of course, after you're done, you can do whatever fun stuff you want, not beforehand. Moving on, take off your freaking AirPods. I know I'm wearing AirPods here, don't come at me. I'm watching a review video right now. Research has shown that your brain can't multitask, or at least it's really bad at it. So you can either focus on the music or you can focus on the stuff you're studying. And when I'm really locked in, I literally tune the music out anyway, so what's the point? It's just like a potential distraction. I heard that classical music is good for your brain. Again, it's still multitasking, so maybe you could listen to it before or after studying, but not during. Womp womp. Out this book, which is the second book of a fantasy series that I've been really liking, and I also need to read a book for school, so I was like, you know what, why not just get it here? I'm home. Today was a very productive day, but I need to be a little more productive, you know? I want to finish another unit of chem studying, so I'm just going to do a little bit of that here because the library closed at 5. Okay, let's go. Next, this is somewhat personal preference, but I'm not a crammer. I typically like to space out my studying, or at least do it a couple days before a test. And according to psychology, the best way to study is to study a little bit every day, because you're able to remember it better. But me personally, I ain't doing all that. So I tend to space out longer study sessions across multiple days, especially before finals. I like to do a bit from each class every day, and then spread that out over the course of a week, or maybe more. Ooh, that was crispy. Bubbly apple juice sounds weird. It smells good though. Oh, it is good. It is like bubbly apple juice, but I like it. Lastly, exercising right before you study honestly makes the biggest difference. Exercising, it improves your blood flow, and that in turn improves your memory and your focus. There have also been studies showing that exercising right before a test improves your performance, so you might want to give that a try. If you're in school all day and you don't want to wake up at 5, yeah, me neither. But even like 2 minutes of exercise right before you do your homework or you start studying will help a lot. What I like to do is do a quick yoga or Pilates session just in my room, like on a mat for 20-30 minutes, and then I start studying right after. And oh my gosh, I'm so locked in after that. Honestly, exercising makes me feel more awake than caffeine does, so take that as you will. It's now 8 p.m. and I'm gonna call it a day and go eat dinner now. Today was super productive. I'm glad I'm getting ahead on my final studying so I don't have to cram on the last day. And I hope you guys have enjoyed the tips I've given you. Good luck on your guys' finals if you have any, and lock in too.